Let's face it, you read the title, you know what you're here for. Let's get started.
Hey, freak!
It's fucking 2022, and these guys are doing the lazy sports jock stuffed nerds into lockers cliche. Does anyone else get the sense that these 350-plus-year-old bitter-ass men are carrying a lot of baggage from when they were kids?
I'm not sure whose twisted idea it was to put hundreds of adolescents in underfunded schools. Run by people whose dreams were crushed years ago.
I am 13 and this is deep. Tim, Alfred, Miles, do you realize that most people get into teaching because their dream is to actually help kids and make a difference? It's not 1940 anymore. Like, wait a minute. What is the better option? The option where you haven't failed? Being a mindless corporate drone, a cog in the capitalist machine? I'm sure that'd be so much fucking better if they were just fucking cubicle workers. Is that the dream that they missed out on? What exactly is the fucking dream? Is it to be a famous sports player? Because you seem to have such a fucking glowing view of sports players in this show. Or maybe it's to be an entertainer. Who doesn't want to be plastered all over every single tabloid while having every single move you make dissected down to the minute detail when your job is to just pretend to be other people because you're not even good at being yourself? Like, great, maybe you could become rich, but that's not much consolation when you have a broken, dysfunctional family, and that's assuming you even make it that far, assuming you don't become codependent on drugs or fall into a pit of exploitation that so many young actors and actresses fall prey to because Hollywood's such a fucking glorious industry, right guys? Some of you who are here might actually remember the Addams Family.
Of course not, that's the point.
Give me a kiss.
Give me 20.
I can never see you again. I don't understand. For weeks, not a word, and now this. At his request, I would rip out my eyes. At his command, I would crawl on my belly through hot coals and broken glass.
Why wait?
Where the series excelled was in playing around with phrases to give him a decidedly more morbid slant.
Has Fester gone mad?
This is all just some sort of phase. Post-honeymoon malaise. It's very common. Do you remember our honeymoon?
That glorious cruise.
No calls,
No care.
no survivors.
As well as taking situations and turning them on their head, again, with black comedic or just downright morbid consequences that you wouldn't normally expect.
You guys are the best bunch of friends a fella could hope for.
And now, for the pièce de résistance.
Ta-da! Ta-da!
That poor girl. Lurch. Was she in there before you baked?
I'm Gary Granger. And I'm Becky Martin Granger. We're the honors and directors here at Camp Chippewa. Well, don't start with me on that,
This
please.
is it. You did this. This
Oh,
has nothing
will
to
you
do with
stop?
allergy.
And then, of course, there are moments like this.
Would you do anything for me?
Anything.
Would you die for me?
Yes!
Promise. Pumpkin.
Buffet.
Yes, that was a man being horrifically electrocuted in a bathtub, then smiling it off like nothing happened. The Addams Family exists in their own unique kind of universe. Things happen around them that are simply impossible around normal people. And when they're around normal people, things kind of chill out just a little bit. Because the things that they can get away with when they're alone...
Guilty.
Guilty, by our own admission. One, two.
Children, what are you doing in there?
Playing! Woe to the Republic.
Like baby murder, those things wouldn't necessarily fly.
Go. It's an American bald eagle.
But aren't they extinct?
They are now.
When you're around normal people. Let's take a look at how the new Wednesday Netflix show does it, huh?
But I admire the sadism.
Hey, well, the opening few seconds are great. I love the juxtaposition between the horror, gothic music, and the bright-ish, pretty colorful world of a normal American high school. Then, of course, we focus in on the off-putting, disembodied statue head of Nancy Reagan. And those of you who are familiar with the Reagans, their politics, and their racism, probably would be unsurprised to imagine Tim Burton probably wishes he could put a Reagan's head on a spike. What's more is, of course, the camera puts Wednesday directly in the center of the shot because she's the audience's focus, and you don't need a sea of parting high school kids to tell you that, but it's a nice added visual effect. We instinctively understand that that gothic horror music, this juxtaposition, is solely due to Wednesday, this person who's out of her element. And at least I, start smiling because I'm imagining that we're going to get some kind of funny payoff rather quickly. Instead, what we got was the aforementioned criticized, no shit, easy, cliche, lazy ass take on public schools in America. And I'd like to not say anything else, but I'd be remiss if I didn't point out that teachers mostly are doing a very selfless, badly underpaid, horribly overworked and under-respected job, especially in the COVID era, and it really is shitty when some multi-millionaire director and a bunch of his shit flunky writers step up to throw that job under the bus as if people who teach are nothing more than complete failures who couldn't do what they really wanted to do in life. I just imagine being a teacher, going home, wanting to unwind, popping this in, and immediately feeling like a piece of absolute shit for no fucking reason because these multi-millionaire scumbags had to punch down at a job they would never be able to do because they don't give a shit about anybody but their fucking selves. And at a time where everybody likes to talk about respecting other people and mental health, nobody should be given this fucking lazy garbage a fucking pass anymore. There's a very striking visual shot focusing solely on Wednesday Addams' eyes as she scans the hallway. There's something really underutilized about eyes in Hollywood filmmaking. I'm a huge fan of anime, and that's one of the things anime does. They frequently get these shots in super dramatic moments, these close-up of the eyes, because they're so goddamn expressive. And I wish that Hollywood directors would take more advantage of how expressive eyes can be. That's just one fucking weirdo's opinion. Speaking of weirdos, one of the high school girls whispers that Wednesday is weird, so weird. And then you get the shot of four of them just staring at her like she's this complete weirdo outcast. Okay, fair enough. But there's just something about the level of disgust and almost contempt that these people are looking with. To me, the Addams Family has always been fun. And a lot of the fun is, yeah, people end up being uncomfortable around them because they are fucking weird. But it's never felt like a directly antagonistic thing. As a matter of fact, half the time, if you ever watch like the original Addams Family or in the movies, normal people, they'll be very uncomfortable, but the Addams aren't going out of their way usually to antagonize people. They're actually really fucking chill. And it's people's fairly reasonable hang-ups, but it's still people's hang-ups that usually leave them feeling uncomfortable, and they end up having to get away from this weirdo freak family. It doesn't feel right to have such an openly hostile relationship between Addams Family people and normal people. I fully admit maybe that's not a valid critique. It's definitely a feeling I have, though, so I wanted to get it out there. Now, at the end of the teacher line, where she criticizes public schools, here's another problem I have with the writing and why I hated this opening. It was just a montage of misery. Rather than us experience that Wednesday is a fan of morbid things, of cruelty, of failure, of misery, we're not shown that the way we were in the movies, for example.
But I admire the sadism.
She literally just has to tell us. She has to exposit that she's a fan of misery. I admire the sadism. It's lazy. We don't need the character to spell it out for us. Can't you do something creative to get us there instead of these no shit lazy ass observations so that she could then tell the audience? Oh, I fucking hate it. Can't even fucking speak. God damn it. Then we see a bunch of stereotypical jock-looking dudes in their varsity jackets walking away from a locker, patting themselves on the back. I don't even know how to register this critique because it's a valid critique, but it is so often pushed forward by people with agendas that are really fucking shitty. But it is true that in a ton of modern entertainment writing, Hollywood, comic books, cartoons, video games, it doesn't matter. You can run through the list of the Ghostbusters, Joel from The Last of Us, Luke and Ray, Captain Marvel, She-Hulk. The list just goes on and on and on constantly. When we finally get a chance to put females in the lead of genre shows and comic book shows and video games, the writers seem to be possessed by this idea that you have to make all the male characters look weak so that you can prop up the female one. And it's so reductive and so condescending and patronizing and, again, lazy. And it is a hallmark of awful modern entertainment writing. So here we get this character Pugsley, who's always been a partner in crime with Wednesday. And he's got his own autonomy and agency. He's his own person. He can handle himself. He's a weirdo, and nobody fucks with him. He's not a bad guy. He's just fucking weird, like the rest of the Addams Family. And here, what do? Not only is he stuffed in the fucking locker like it's the 1940s, because I swear to God, the writers and the director are harboring resentment from when they were teenagers. I fucking promise you that's what's going on with the script. Wednesday is a self-insert of Tim Burton. So not only do we get that awful, stupid jock bully cliche, Pugsley is fucking whimpering.
I want names.
Don't know who they were. Honest.
Pull yourself together.
That noise right there, when my friends and I pretend that we're little wimps, we literally make a noise. We go, oh, boo, 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 boo. Like, that's the noise we make. And that is the noise they had Pugsley make. It is a complete disservice to his character. And no, I don't fucking think it's a coincidence that he's a male character and he's being horribly gimped to be weak and pathetic. Because what do you get immediately?
Now. Recently been plagued by visions. They come on without warning. Leave this to me.
What are you gonna do?
What I do best.
The contrast of Wednesday taking control, Wednesday has this really cool new power, and Wednesday gets to deliver the line because she's so strong and she's such a badass. She's gonna do what she does best. And in a well-written show that didn't just take a giant shit all over selfless people and didn't just take a giant shit all over one of its legacy characters, this moment would have been badass. I love the visual. I love the way her head goes up. When it pops back down, the hair is a mess. You could tell like it really affects her. It's intense, but she's pushing through it. She looks like a fucking badass here. And she doesn't need Pugsley to be a little fucking bitch in order for it to happen. And one last thing, I do like the way that Pugsley falls out of the locker. It is funny. There's good comedic timing to it. It just shouldn't have happened with Pugsley. Maybe some friend character or something like that. It is also interesting that Wednesday says,
Pugsley, emotion equals weakness.
there's a lot of emotions that the Addams Family usually displays. Emotion equals weakness. I am sitting here thinking, okay, are they going to show that this is a very flawed character in some way, and maybe she has to learn that that particular stance is so edgy that it's cringy. Emotion does not equal weakness. That is just blithering idiocy. But based on the way the show goes, I'm not really sure. I think they actually think that that's what makes a person strong, is that they just don't have emotion. And again, it's weirdly reductive and harmful and classic misogynist to claim that emotion is weakness at a time when we're trying more and more to dispel that classic idiotic notion that like men aren't allowed to show emotion. You gotta be tough, act like a real man. Everybody fucking criticizes that online right now. So again, this shit should not be getting a fucking pass. And I hope it's part of a fucking character arc, but based on what we've seen so far, I'm pretty sure it's not. I'm pretty sure it's one of the other modern day Hollywood tropes of they think that writing a female character means stripping their emotions out, making them unrelatable, making them not act like a human being, no weaknesses, no emotions, no flaws, nothing to overcome, because God for fucking bid, they gotta act like men, or at least the classic misogynistic notion of what a man should be. Because in modern Hollywood, the only good female lead is one who acts like a man. And all the heavily left-leaning people on Reddit and Twitter, they gobble this shit up every fucking time, and it just boggles the mind. And I consider myself a fairly left-leaning individual on Twitter and Reddit. It fucking depresses me how fucking gullible people are. Like, all you need is the barest window dressing of casting a female lead, and it's like, job done. Everybody line up and praise. Any criticism, any word to the contrary, they must just be sexist, misogynist, racist haters.
Leave this to me.
She's gonna do what she does best. Well, unless she's Wolverine, we have to find out what it is that she does best. What is that? Well, honestly, I don't know. She gets a bunch of exotic animals, piranhas, and then horrifically maims and mutilates a teen boy in a swimming pool. There are no consequences for her actions. There's no police involvement. We get nothing. Again, lazy. This is a lazy, poorly written opening. I'm not gonna say poorly written show.
Ah, but sequel, that's where you're wrong. Because there was a negative consequence. She got thrown out of school.
Son, did you watch any of the opening? In what way, shape, or form would that be a consequence? A negative consequence? What's worse, it's not even particularly in character. And what I mean by that is, well, let's take a look at Addams Family values. Wednesday is mentally and emotionally just bombarded, tortured for weeks by these camp counselors and by the flying monkeys who tattle on her and several other misfits. And because the camp counselors are coded horrible racists,
not everyone can be a star. Mordecai, Yang, Esther, Consuela, Irwin, and I'm still not sure just how to pronounce this. Jamal? Whatever.
they purposely take every single ethnic kid or nerdy kid or overweight person. Well, I guess I shouldn't say racist, more just prejudiced in general. But they take all those people and they make them the savage Indians in this Thanksgiving play. And of course, all the pretty white blonde kids, they get to be the hero pilgrims. They nominate
Wednesday Addams
to be the leader of the Indians. News which she takes not well. And after being stashed in a small cabin and forced to consume Disney products and child musicals, God, the horror. After that,
Isn't she pretty?
She's scaring me.
Wednesday submits. They start the play, and Wednesday does not simply unleash a mountain lion on the camp counselors and have them brutally murdered. No, what she does is she says, "You want me to be an Indian? Oh, I'll be an Indian, all right." And she steps out in front of the audience. She reprimands all those pretty little white folks for taking their land and basically killing the Indians off. Then they launch a raid on the little pilgrim village, where it's not just Wednesday, it's also all the kids that were insulted, degraded, and treated like garbage. They all participate because they were all victims. And what that does is it gives Wednesday a little bit of a shield. She's not just maiming and mauling people left and right. Again, you can't really get away with that when you're around normal people. But when you disperse the violence amongst a large group of victimized children, well, now it's a lot easier to swallow. Plus, Wednesday used their own desire against them, so it's an added element of intelligent cruelty, playing the ultimate Indian leader. You get none of that in the opening of the Wednesday show. It's cruel, it's illogical, it's not in character, and when you sit and think about it for more than half of a second, it doesn't make any sense. Speaking of not making sense and disrespecting legacy characters, let's meet the rest of the crew. But first, a word from our sponsor. What do you mean I don't have a sponsor? Don't I have at least patrons or something? Alright, I have nothing. Now that we mentioned it, I do this solely for free, for entertainment value, so if my opinions are trash, let me know in as brutal and insulting a way possible. Really punish me for trying to provide some free entertainment. But hey, that sounds like I'm trying to protect my opinion a little bit. In all fairness, you release your opinion out to the public the way that I am with this video, you open yourself to legitimate, fair criticism. So if any of you have fair criticism, I want you to direct it to gofuckyourself@gmail.com. Or leave it in the comments below, either one, that's fine. All terrible joking aside, I really appreciate everybody who took a listen to this video, gave it a shot, engaged with it honestly, even if you disagree with some of the conclusions I have. Hopefully you could at least understand where I'm coming from with some of them. Next time, we will meet the rest of the Addams family and continue and meet Hogwarts Light, which is as far as I got in the show. So after that, we'll see if I feel like continuing with the rest of the episode. And then after that, we'll see if I can feel like continuing with the rest of the series. Again, thanks so much, everybody. Take a look around the channel at our X-Men, 90s X-Men cartoon reviews, Black Adam review. My buddy Dark Hour and I will be dabbling more in video essays in the coming months, so I hope that they're good. And we finish with our joke of the day. Mickey Mouse is in divorce court, and the judge says, "I apologize, Mr. Mouse, but I cannot rule in favor of your divorce based solely on the fact that Minnie is crazy." And Mickey goes, "Oh, I didn't say she was crazy. I said she was fucking goofy."